Hvala lepa.
Pozitivno zame, ni negativno.
Yeah. So this is the nativity scene, and adio moja prijatelj.
Mogoče happy moj žigani.
If you have a
Yeah.
slider, maybe.
No, I gave it back to him before. When
Preleti da nazaj.
zelena.
Zeleni je bil.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this is the nativity scene, right? I'm just thinking, we're this little episode here. Adio, hvala lepa, laka noč. That about
Angel, good little angel.
yes. Oh, that's right. Good little angel. Yes, we were thinking about spells before, right? About how English is the language of spells. And just going out the door, I just thought nativity scene, because over here the word for nativity scene is the stable scene, right? Why do we call it nativity, native, right? And I think it's quite important to focus on these little words, because sometimes you often find that they're covering something that is it's either nuanced or it's very cultist, hidden meaning, right? So let me use my face, right? So the one thing we spoke about before was, oh, little angel. Oh, he's a little angel. Now, one thing that Anita said was, an angel was, what was it? Unquestioning? No, it wasn't unquestioning, was it? It was something along the lines of the angel is above.
It's not really above the angels. Angels, a lot of people in spiritual community think of angels as if they don't have the free will to do something.
Okay,
so
yeah, and that's a good point, because actually one part of the Bible is that the human beings got given free will. So the part of the leaving, what was it called? The part of after Garden of Eden was that you wouldn't be protected in this Eden, but you would have free will. So I suppose that's a very good point you make, actually. Oh, he's a little angel. And a little angel was someone who sat and actually did nothing. It wasn't someone who actually went out of their way and did great things for people. That was, oh, he's a miracle worker, you know. But it wasn't really an angel. It might be it might be a knight in shining armor, but it wasn't an angel. An angel was someone who did nothing. He's so good because that child sat and did nothing. That child was brain dead, you know. So it's not really something positive. And so this is going to bring me on to this spell casting. But before I say that, what was the two things in the house I was saying about?
Paranoia.
Yeah, paranoia. So when you link things together, so paranoia, you know how you get people who, the one example I gave was people who were trying to bring together Christianity with older things, Sumerian texts and things like that. And one thing I was watching, this guy was saying, he was just running on ahead. He wasn't drawing the parallels. He was basically saying, Jesus means Jebus, doesn't explain why Jebus means Jesus. And then he just went, I said, so I'm like, well, hang on, you just joined 2 or 3 letters. And you've made that make a linkage, even though it might not have. You haven't justified the linkage. And that is excitement that is linking things together. And those linkages are made because someone really wills them to be. It's like, oh, they're hoping for the link. And in the same way, that's a positive action. It's a positive linkage, right? They're linking things together because they're interested in a topic and they want to join the dots. And the dots don't really join, but they're going to do it anyway. Right? They're going to force them to join. Square peg, round hole. Forced it in there. Yeah, we're happy now. And well, depression and not anxiety, but depression and there's another word I'm thinking of. Paranoia. If you take the negative aspect of that very same thing, you link things together by, oh, that person, he gave me a look, and that must have meant this. And you start linking things together that aren't actually linked. And you allow that to train you towards a certain way of thinking, which tends to be negative and brings you to a big up and downer. And therefore, what I was talking about now is, I was relating it to spells. And this is a conversation we were having a few days ago about spells, about, she knows quite a bit of German. There was some word, the word was fire, wasn't it? Yeah, Feuer, the German word for fire? Yeah, Feuer. And linking it together with the English words, sometimes the words are related, and you look at English, and English is made up of all these European languages. And when you start to look at the cultist side of spelling, linked to spells in other languages too, you start to see that English is a language of spells, right? And I'm going to put the phone down here while I unlock this page, because it's something I found earlier on that's quite interesting. We were talking the other day about, well, maybe English is the perfect spell language, and then lo and behold, I start hunting around, and I found these things here. Now, this one's called Tricked by the Light. I'm going to put a link in here. And it shows you about spelling, cursive writing, and it delves into these different meanings, right? Now, I've seen some of these things before. Words are spelled to create a sentence of terms. Think of a jail sentence or a prison term, right? And I've seen this quite a lot, but the thing is, you could say, well, look, you're really grasping at straws here. And this is how we got into this topic. Grasping at straws. You're making linkages that are very weak. Now, we often do that in life, make linkages that are weak, but if it's something that's spiritual and something that is in vogue, like linking offense to something else, and I feel sad, therefore, oh, you should feel sad, you should feel bad, and you know, we're allowed to make linkages sometimes that are so flimsy and weak because they're either cult, hidden meaning, or else they're in vogue and something that's fashionable to do, right? But in the case where you look at spelling, this whole thing about the English language, and there's just so many in here, it's insane. When you look at the, like bookum, so the word book is a verb that means to arrest or detain. Bookum, Dano. In fact, the Latin word for book is liber. Think of the Libor scandal, again, another meaning that you can spin off all the languages linked, right? Which is where we get our word library from. And also the word liberty. You can book a reservation, which means you're paying for the ownership of something in advance. You can book a place or a bet on a game. This is the one. This next part. Book a game or a race with your bookie. Yes, there's a bet being placed on this race, and it's the human race and the game of life. Now, I know that I'm rattling this on, and it's like, oh, it's easy to say because someone has created the path, and I'm coming along, and I'm sniffing up all these pissed off on breadcrumbs, and I'm going down a track. But the reality is, it's when you look back into coincidence, right? Now, a lot of times conspiracy theorists get dismissed because, oh, you're just linking things together. Meanwhile, the person who is dismissing you and ridiculing you, they have joined so many things together that are much more flimsy connections than what you're joining together. And yet they have the audacity to tell you that you're delusional, right? Well, when it comes to these little things that just this one, there's many other websites I came across today when I was looking at this stuff, but it says, please, the song Sting, an entire album by Sting. The lead singer is entitled The Sole Subject of the Meek. Let me go to a different section now. I don't want to sit here and read it word for word. Words mean things. Okay, bless you. Be less you. Example of word spells. Bless you. Be less you. Have a nice day. Half of a nice day. Hello. Hell low. Hey you. Hey you. H-E-Y-U. Hi sheep. Ah, all right. See you later. See ya. I don't know what the ya is later. I'm not saying these are all making sense yet. I don't want to get into them while I'm doing this video. I'm just saying this is what I've come across. And I've come across a lot more than what I'm just reading out here because I've been around a bunch of websites today, but my memory's shit, so I'm not very good at short-term stuff and reciting it. I've got to go back in previous videos that I record and then abandon and go back and look at them again sometimes. Busyness. So you tuned into your television set to set programming. We all know about the programming one, right? A TV program. What's it doing? Why is it called a program? It's programming you. Simple as that. How to ruin language. There's rune magic, grammar, grimoire. Fuck sakes. I won't get into that too much. I've been drinking a little bit. Sorry. IT, the creature from the subconscious ID. So yeah, so let's get back into spell casting. Let's go back to this one about sentence or term. So we have one here, God spell, the gospel, which leads on to the God spell. So effectively what you're doing is, imagine English was assembled for the sole reason of becoming a more refined spell language. And then it was promoted across the world to be the language of choice for people, to make us think that it's to reverse the situation of the Tower of Babel in the Bible, where God smited mankind. So in other words, if you look at this in a kind of which I'm not religious, but if you look at it in a religious manner, you could say that the spreading of Spanish and Chinese and English as being more globalist languages is actually undoing God's work, because God smited mankind by making separate languages to make it so that the tribes had separate languages and couldn't communicate between each other. You could also say that the Bible was actually infiltrated to make it seem like that was a bad thing, and therefore the good thing is to go towards the ability to do all those things. But it's really hard to tell, so everything becomes confusing, right? Hence, again, the nature of what we're living in, constant confusion. But this spell casting gets really interesting when it comes to people mention about the situation with common law or natural law, where you have very simplistic law, which is an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. It's with common law, you can get yourself ensnared with just 10 laws. The 10 commandments could ensnare you in a situation. Well, he did murder someone, but he was doing the eye for the eye, tooth for a tooth. Someone took his daughter's life, a gang rapist, whatever it might be. And you can still ensnare yourself with those simple 2 handfuls of laws, right? Whereas in the legal systems of the world, they are books worth of laws, and those books worth of laws are meant purposely to be put in a situation where the weak, or those weakened by a sense of morality, will believe that somehow this legal system is moral, when it's just legal. It's not moral. It's not ethical. It's simply legal. It's contractual. And you'll be trapped into putting a situation where, in the case of my father, got in a car accident a couple of years ago, and he basically shopped himself in, because he said, I'm not willing to lie. Well, the other guy against him did lie, and he got screwed in court, had a fat policy, and shafted himself. Because the reality is, you're not dealing with morality, you're dealing with the legal system. The legal system is not moral. It's designed there to effectively defend evil, defend the wealthy, and also to ensnare and entrap the poor, and also those who are good and honest. That's the legal system for you, right? And the legal system's full of these spells, and one of them being the word understand. Do you understand? Police will say to you, and this is the straw man scenario that people who are, I can't remember the term of it, they call it in the UK, where you denounce your straw man and go by natural law. The police in the UK usually understand it when you start on this line of answering, and then they tend to leave you alone. But sometimes they don't, because at the end of the day they can do what they want, because they are a mafia organization, right? Covered by the biggest cartel in the world, in the earth, the biggest cartels, which are governments and police, right? So yeah, I thought it was very interesting to look at these things. So let me think here. One of the things I was saying before was, let me pause. Okay.
As you shared the knowledge as maybe the tribes and stuff.
Oh yeah, the tribal stuff, right? So there was a part where I was going to talk about. Here you go. Here's some more words here. Some more spells. Now, I was talking about a tribalism thing earlier on. So, say for example, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Ta-da! Hello, Mr. Conspiracy Theorist here. I have come up with enough of them so I can actually say I'm one. And what happens is, the world being the way the world is, you get denounced and people start poking fun at you. Laugh, laugh, snigger, snigger. That guy over there, he's a clown, right? So what happens is you start to allow those things, especially your pride and your ego, starts to take a dent. And all you're looking for is and this is the danger of these sort of things. If you care about pride, maybe why pride's a sin, right? But if you care about these things, what ends up happening is you start to search for validation. In that validation, what might come is a guy who's like, yeah, look, I've listened to what you've said, yep, I fully agree with you on this part. Oh, cool, this guy believes in me, right? Or believes what I'm saying here. And this is where we are in politics today. Because what happens is people become ensnared in this dichotomy of belief. You're either left or right. If you're left, you have to believe that Trump's an asshole and everything he does is bad. And you also have to believe that Biden's a good guy. And hang on, why couldn't I just think that Trump's an asshole and think that Biden's an asshole too? No, you're not allowed that. Why? Because this guy came along and told me that my conspiracy theory was actually made perfect sense to him. But he's got 15 more that he wants me to look into, and one of them is about the big Chumbawamba up the hill, and it made it all life, and that I've got to paint my face blue and then run around naked, swinging my willy around, right? And I've got to look at him and go, oh, that's a bit weird. Before you know what, I'm running down the hill, swinging my willy around, and thinking that everything he's doing is good, because if I don't, the one or two people that I have in the world that validate my theories are going to abandon me. And that is the power of being able to stand on your own 2 feet and not require